Hello, hello. So, today I'm just going to teach on the subject of goals, setting goals. This is actually a really important subject and worth revisiting, and I'm going to be revisiting this myself. So, when I was a driving instructor, one of the phrases we used to use quite regularly is "where you look is where you go," and it's so true. You know, if you saw a pupil that looking at the curb over here, guess what? They were likely to hit that curb. So normally you keep your eye, out in front of you if you want to go in that direction. So goal setting is really setting the direction where you are going to go. I mean, it's very, in a sense, it's quite simplistic, isn't it? You know, if you're in a car and you want to drive to Scotland, that's your goal, isn't it? That's where you're going. So you want to find the route that you're going to, you do your Google Maps or whatever, and you get the routes to where you're going to actually end up. And some of us, we don't end up in the place we want to because we haven't set any goals. And then we're surprised, aren't we, when we don't achieve what we really want and we are getting some other place. And just to clearly say this is quite important. So your to-do list is not really, they're not really goals. There may be some goals on your to-do list, but don't view your to-do list as goals, okay? A goal, the to-do list really is the task, a set of tasks. You know, mowing the lawn now is a task, isn't it? Now your goal maybe is to keep your garden nice and tidy, and for that, one of those tasks maybe you need to mow the lawn. Yes, I do actually need to mow my lawn. For example, keep to the driving analogy, you may want to learn to drive. That's quite a big goal, isn't it? That's quite a common goal for people to want to achieve. That's your goal, but to achieve that goal, you've got a whole lot of tasks, haven't you? Yeah, you've got to find a driving instructor. You've got to do the theory test. You've got to, you've got to spend hours of practice. You've got to. There's a whole load of tasks to get. So think of the map again. You know, you've got to. It's like they're like the waypoints that you're going to get to. So you might have sub goals. So for example, the overall goal is to learn to drive. That's at the top here. Learn to drive, and then sub goal down here would be I need to pass the theory test. Because in the UK, you can't actually even start getting a car before you and learn to drive. No, actually, that's not quite true. But to achieve the rest of the goals, you've actually got to first pass your theory test. Okay, so that could be a sub goal. And then how do you achieve that theory test? Well, you've got to do some revision. You've probably got to buy an app. You've got to spend hours practicing. So those are the tasks you need to achieve that goal. So you could think of it, and maybe you could draw it out like this actually. So there's your top goal, and then sub goals, waypoints, and then what's in between. What are the tasks you need to do to achieve those goals? One of the helpful things that most people have probably heard is what's called SMART goals. And that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. So let's just go through those different parts of the acronym. So specific, now this is very important because if your goal is vague, you're very unlikely to achieve it, aren't you? It needs to be clearly articulated. It needs to be written down or at least spoken out. Your brain needs this to achieve a goal. If you set a goal, your brain goes where your brain actually goes in a sense where you set your goals. All right. So, for example, when people join our gym, their goal could be, I want to get fit, but that's quite a vague goal, isn't it? What do we mean by that? What do you mean by that? Now, if they say, I want to lose 2 pounds, well, that's very much more specific, isn't it? So when they come into the gym, we actually do sit down and we find out what their goals are. We help them with their goals. We help them set some goals, because people are more likely to stick with something if they've got a goal. I think it's quite a good idea, actually, to put them somewhere where you see them every day as well, to remind you what your actual goals, where you're heading. I'm going to do that a bit more, actually. I need to do that a bit more so that they're not just in my head. I do clearly quite remember my goals, actually. So there are in my mind, but I think there's something about just not, getting it out from your brain or even in your conscious, get it out there on a paper is gonna help as well. So even today, I'm gonna do that for myself, because we're all learning here. This is the idea. And if there's anything you think in this teaching that you hear and you think, oh, Paul hasn't said about that, please tell me in the Facebook group, because it'd be good to add and learn together. So make the goals visible, make them measurable. So can you put a number to it? So like for the gym, losing 2 pounds is quite measurable, isn't it? And also review the goal at regular intervals. So again, with the gym analogy, we weigh a measure every month to see how are we getting to that place? Are we achieving this goal? Is there a likelihood we're going to achieve this goal? Make it relevant. So, we do need to assess the importance of this goal. What's the real benefit to us? Because some goals can be really important. Some could be just pretty trivial, couldn't they? I mean, if you're sick, then, you really want to get well. That's an important goal. The relevance of that is really huge, isn't it? If you're unemployed, well, the goal is got to be get some money, get a job or start a business. That's really, so some goals are more important than others. That's what I'm trying to say. So try and assess the goals. You could actually, I'm just thinking out loud here, you could actually use a color scheme, couldn't you, for this? You could have the importance of your goals could be developed in a color or some kind. Think of a creative way. I'd love to hear some creative ways to do this, actually, because we need to help our brain. Creativity helps with some of this stuff. So yes, decide the importance of the goal. Time bound. So when do you want to achieve this goal? So going back to, we want to go up to Scotland, how long is it going to take? And we need to know timings, don't we? So we could, if we go back to that diagram I was sharing, from the top down, maybe of a goal and sub goals, we could maybe put in when we want to achieve the particular steps in this goal. I just thinking here, you could draw like a ladder like that, couldn't you? That could be another way of diagramming this, actually. I think diagramming it would be quite a helpful way. I'm going to try that myself, actually, rather than just a list, because a list is logical. And the more you use creativity, I think, using your right brain rather than just the left, I think that helps as well. We'll probably share a bit more on that. And maybe you've got some things you could share about that as well as creatives. So our goal is to set some goals. So how is really the next question, really. So as we've said, not all goals are the same. So, and this could be not just importance, this could be in terms of different areas. So you might have some personal goals. You may have some artistic, creative goals. You may be doing another job or work. You might have some work goals. You might have some, family goals. You might marriage goals, children. They could be different areas. Some of them may overlap, and they probably vary in their importance. So not all goals are equal, as I said earlier. that's one kind of goal. The other kind of goal could be something that's more regular. So the goal could be, the goal could be out there as a final, like passing your driving test. So something in the, that in July, I'm going to pass my driving test. It could be a different type of goal, could be one that's like a regular goal, something. So, for example, here's one of my goals. I haven't written this one down actually, so I do need to write, but it is something I do practice and it is in my consciousness. My goal could be to play the piano better. Okay, now that's quite vague, isn't it? So SMART goals. So my real goal, actually, I've decided is at the moment I'm learning to play all Mozart's piano sonatas. Okay, so I'm learning all of them. Now I've broken that down into how am I going to do that? So how am I going to learn all Mozart's piano sonatas? Now, is it smart? Yes, it is achievable, I believe. A little bit beyond me. So it's not easy, but I'm doing quite well. I'm measuring it because I can see how many I've learned so far, and it's going well. How I'm doing that is I'm doing that. I've given myself 30 minutes a day. So that's a regular goal. The goal is to play the piano, play Mozart 30 minutes a day. Okay. And I do play the piano for other things as well, but this is my main sort of focused goal. So it could be for you, it could be sketching 30 minutes a day to develop your technique or something like that. I don't know, you're artists, I'm a musician, but it's very similar in terms of like things like that. So, so I'm learning, I'm basically each week, I'm picking a different sonata. There's normally 3 movements in a sonata. So each week I'm picking a movement, and that means in 3 weeks I've learned a Mozart sonata. And I'm probably going to recycle because they obviously need to practice until they're there. But you can see how that's working. So I'm practicing 30 minutes a day, and that's what I'm doing. So I know what I'm doing. I'm focused. So if you take out your goals, it helps you because you stop wasting time doing other things because you just get straight to it. Sometimes as well, so just to say here, learning a page a day or learning a movement each week is like a sub goal. Another thing that can happen, this has happened to me as well, is that you can sometimes achieve a goal like accidentally. So for me, I didn't set out to write 6 books. I've actually got 6 books on Kindle or on Amazon. You might not know of them. They're all related to the subject of grace, because I think it was, I can't remember, it's quite a while ago now. But I started a website called God's Grace Works. And I just started writing about the subject of grace because that's what at the time was really relevant to me and I was thinking about. So I would write. And I'd write, so I suppose I had a vague goal in my mind to write a blog each week. And I was getting into that habit of writing a blog each week. And then what happened was I had enough material in blog articles and I'm thinking, oh, I've got a book here. And then ended up writing books that way around. So that's a bit of an accidental. So I didn't set out to write a book or books, but I did actually achieve that. So yeah, you got to sort of there's a flexibility within this, but they're general principles that will really help you. And many of us do have subconscious goals. If you're self-disciplined in any way, and you've worked on that, I have. You probably have quite a lot of subconscious goals that you practice. They're sort of habits, I suppose. They become so ingrained in you. But I think it's good. I think it's a good idea to actually articulate those and write them down as well. It's quite encouraging if you do that as well. That you maybe things you're practicing on a regular basis, they become habits. So I really strongly encourage you to. I'm going to do this as well. So I'm practicing what I preach. I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to write this out, and I think I'm going to do this little chart. I like this idea of the goals and sub goals and put it visually, because I think visually will help rather than just a long list of things in a Word document or something. I don't know, I'm going to try different things, and maybe you could put in the group what works for you, because it might help somebody else. So as we sort of begin to bring in this, land this plane a little bit here, let's just think, so start small and work bigger is my advice as well. If you start off with massive things, again, is it achievable? We missed that out, actually. I've just realized I missed that one out. Right, achievable. That's good. I remember that, because I missed that one out. So this is like a debatable point as well, actually, because faith comes into this. So you may start off with a small goal, and that's achievable, isn't it? Yeah. And that's probably wise to start with that. But we do want to, you do want to go sometimes for things that are a little bit out of the ballpark. It takes faith to do that. So this is a bit of a trade-off here. So I would start small, start achievable, and then stretch your faith, and for what it might be possible. Because God is involved in this as well, and the Holy Spirit can help you as well. That's the thing, because He's the best coach. So ask Him for help setting goals. He can do that for you. He's practical. He's he's real. So just to finish off a little bit here, let's just think of what stops us achieving our goals. So often we get roadblocks, don't we, that stop, they're in the way, and we give up at that point. Lack of knowledge, we probably need some training, probably need some mentors. Like you're on this Creators Arise, that's great, because that can really help. What resources do you need? I mean, lack of technique, like if you're trying to do your Zooms on a phone rather than on the computer, that could be maybe a real hindrance to achieving your goals. It may mean it's going to take a lot longer. So having the right equipment, having the right technical stuff is important. Inconsistency. So, we're just not good at developing habits. We're not very good. We get easily distracted. It's better, like the story of the tortoise and the hare. It's better to have make small steps regularly towards a goal than big leaps and then not do it, etc. So developing consistency. Maybe your goals are not SMART, so think through that acronym. Distractions, people, distractors. We get distracted. We distract ourselves. Keeping focused. So hopefully this will keep us to our goals, because it will keep us focused, especially if it's written down, it's out there in front of us. It keeps us back on track. Boundaries as well. What is the limits? How much time we're going to spend on this particular goal. We don't want to be, again, this comes into relevance and importance. Where are the boundaries of these goals? Lack of habits, that comes up with inconsistency. We're going to talk into that in another video at some point. Maybe you can think of some other things that stop you achieving your goals. Self-sabotage is one, isn't it, that comes to mind. And maybe self-sabotage happens because we don't have a clearly articulated goal, or, that could be, I don't know, that's another subject. Other people, you can get often, I've had this happen to me, where you get sort of bolted onto somebody else's vision and your heart isn't really in it. It's not really your goal, it's their goal, and there can be a bit of conflict there. So conflicting goals, things that don't make sense. You're trying pulling in two different ways. Just to finish this, so lack of reward. So we need motivation, don't we? And having a reward is this is what we apply in the gym. We get them to think of, when you achieve this goal, what are you going to do? How are you going to reward yourself? How are you going to feel? It was for joy that Jesus endured the cross. Because sometimes we set these goals, but the journey there is not particularly pleasant, is it? Even in normal journeys, when you're going to Scotland or something, like I might go, it's probably, having a nice reward for doing that thing will help you. is it worth the sacrifice? So that's an important consideration, isn't it, really? That's sometimes we give up because actually we really hadn't counted the cost. So maybe think about when you're trying to achieve these goals, what's the cost that it's going to cost you? You know, it could be financial as well, but it could be mental, and you know, what's the cost? Have you know, Jesus talked about that, didn't he? About someone building a house or you know, the tower, and they hadn't counted the cost. They start something and then they don't complete it. And you know, maybe that resonates with you. Maybe you've started lots of things, lots of goals, and you haven't completed it. So hopefully this will help. Reward is a powerful motivator. So maybe you know, with that roadmap we had at the beginning, you know, maybe plan out what rewards you're going to give yourself at these particular moments. You know, just maybe involve the Holy Spirit in that. Ask him what rewards. He knows you better than anybody else, and what makes you tick. So yeah, I'm going to think about that as well. That's actually quite a helpful thing to think. Well, you know, maybe when I played all those Mozart piano sonatas, what reward am I going to give myself? You know, maybe we'll go to a concert or something. So share some of this. Share your goals in the Facebook group. Let's get talking about this. I feel this is really important. And just to finish off with one of my goals for this group, actually, just to share what I'm trying to do and how I'm doing it. So a realistic goal for me, for this group at this stage, is I'm going to be doing two video articles a week. So I'm going to be talking into 2 subjects a week. This is like one of them. I'm doing 2 because I probably manage that, and it means then I'm only going to share one in the group, so I'm a bit ahead. So I've always got some material. If you know, if something goes pear-shaped and I'm not able to do one week, I'm ahead in sort of content creation. So can you see my goal is to create 2 video articles a week, and I'm going to do that by, I need to allocate some time to that each week, because it all takes time and effort, etc. So think for you, think of some things like that. Anyway, that's enough. I think that's been quite a long teaching there, isn't it? So go away and think about that and share what you're thinking, your thoughts. So see you next time. Thanks for watching.